Welcome back. Over 24 Democrats backing a new bill that questions the mental health of President Trump. The draft legislation would establish a panel to determine whether the president is fit to serve.
But should anyone really take this seriously?
Well, here to weigh in is Fox News politics editor Chris Stirewalt. Chris, looking dashing as always. Good to see you.
Thanks, guys. Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday. Well, you think about the Democratic Party and where they are in terms of winning elections. They've got a lot of work to do, and what their platform is, what do they stand for? And then something like this comes out and you're thinking, is that really going to get people to the polls?
Well, I mean, it'll get some people to the polls. It'll get people in those districts that are very safely Democratic to the polls. Probably the best hope for them on this is that the president would notice that they're doing it and that he would comment on it or engage in it in some way, or that his supporters would comment on it or engage in it in some way, give it attention. So if they could get that and they could reinforce the notion of the president as mentally unwell, yeah, they're never going to successfully remove him from office.
But it's no policy, right? I mean, people go to the polls and they vote because of an agenda, because of policy, because of things that are hopefully going to make their life better. And you look at some of the bills that have been put on their desk to pass, the Kate Steinle bill, sanctuary cities, and we've calculated the numbers here. You have more Democrats that supported the fact that the president is mentally ill compared to Kate's law, the sanctuary cities. I mean, talk about priorities here, Chris.
Well, certainly on Kate's law, the Republicans have an opportunity in the Senate now to put some pressure on Democrats in key states. They have some opportunities here. Whether or not they can successfully pass it this time, because as we know, this law or this bill passed the House once before and was defeated in the Senate. They need 8 Democratic senators at least to come on board to get it passed. If they can't get all 8, at least this is an opportunity for Republicans to show voters in states where they might have a different opinion about this, that they may be represented by somebody who doesn't agree with their values.
Well, let's talk about, a couple things here, right? Democrats are getting on board this bill. They're not getting on board the health care bill. Where do you see that going over the next few weeks? A lot of moving and shaking for, you had Governor Huckabee here on the show yesterday, said trash the whole thing. It's a terrible bill. Send it back to the states. Let the governors deal with it.
Well, you'd still have to repeal it. And so Senator Ben Sass's idea that the president has embraced, that you're going to hear, I think, more people come out and speak in favor of, which is basically Paul Ryan's original plan. Paul Ryan's original plan way back in March was scrap the bill, say that it's repealed effective this date in the future. And then, look, I think everybody would agree that Republicans squandered an opportunity in not having legislation ready, right? They didn't come to a consensus over the last 8 years about what it is that they really saw as a replacement for Obamacare. So they didn't have it ready. So rather than try to avoid unhappy truths, it is better to face them. And so to face that, you say, okay, it's repealed, and the SAS plan is you get a year. We're going to give ourselves a year to come up with a remedy. Let's work through the end of the summer. Let's skip August recess. Let's stay here and do this. The president's on board with this plan. Others are on board. And this really now represents, in a big way, the best chance that Republicans have to take some serious action.
The argument then is that deadline sharpen the mind. In that year, they've got to get something done. So you think they're going to shift to that plan, repeal on a timeline, and then attempt to replace, as opposed to finding those additional 3 or 4 votes on the existing bill in the Senate?
There are a lot more than 3 or 4 short. There are publicly stated maybe 6 short, but the truth is there are others who I've talked to who are out there. Lindsey Graham said it very well. This bill's either going to pass with 51 or fail with 35. With legislation like this, no one likes this legislation, including the people who wrote it. But it faces an unhappy reality for Republicans. They have very effectively pointed out that Obamacare is unraveling for the individual insurance market, for these exchanges, and we're talking about 20 million people out there that are covered in this space. That's a lot of Americans, and something has to happen for them before November, or it will not only be a political catastrophe, but it will also be a huge abrogation of the duty and responsibilities of the government.
Well, what everyone likes, Chris Stirewalt, is your show with Dana Perino. It's on tonight, right? FNC?
9 p.m.
Right.
I will tell you what, it will be great, and we have wonderful historians. We don't do too much. We're not going to do too much on the news. We're going to focus on what the revolution meant and whether those founding ideas, those founding virtues are with us still today.
Love it. We'll be tuning in. Chris Stirewalt, good to see you.
And I read his halftime report email every day as well, which is worth reading. Chris, thanks for joining us.
All right.